What is going on, everybody? All right, we've got the Michigan preview where I'm going to go over some stats. Then we will look at the DraftKings numbers and things like that. Who you want to set for your fantasy teams. We will get into all of that good stuff. Just trying to find Sam Deloach. What's up, man? Just trying to get my stuff set up here. There we go. Now we got the NASCAR stuff. All right. Let's get into it. All right. Robin Marks, what's up, man? Let's go. All right, let's. I guess first we'll look at your previous stats from Michigan. We're gonna figure out who we're gonna pick for our fantasy teams, who we're gonna pick for our DraftKings for entertainment purposes only. But of course, the first thing you want to do is look at your stats before you look at any of your tiers in fantasy or before you look at any of the odds in DraftKings. So let's see. Paul B, I just bought a Fanatec DD1. So excited! Hey, those are going to be awesome for whatever sim racing you're doing there. I assume it's iRacing, but it could be anything. So we're going to go from 2019, and we'll start off with the easy one, right? We'll look at the top 10s, who is going to probably finish in the top 10. So we'll go with average finish first. Martin Truex at a 4.6 average finish. He's in the way there. Second place there would be Kevin Harvick with an average finish of 4.8. Denny Hamlin with an average finish of 5.2. Kyle Busch with an average finish of 5.4. Kyle Larson, finish of 6.7. And though he's not in the race, Kurt Busch has an average finish of 9.8. And Chase Elliott next on that list, 10.6. William Byron with a 10.8. Chase Briscoe with an 11. And Joey Logano with an average finish of 2.8. So those are sort of your average finishes. Does Harvick get the victory lane? We're going to get to that. He's got some pretty good numbers here, so we're going to take a look at that. But yeah, this could be a track. We're going to get to that. All right, let's go to top fives where Martin Truex Jr. has 4. He leads the way once again there. So already 2 categories. Martin Truex Jr. is leading 2 categories. The Toyotas are fast. We'll get to the qualifying and stuff like that in a minute. But Martin Truex with 4, Denny Hamlin with 3, another Toyota. Kyle Busch also with 3, another Toyota. Kevin Harvick also with 3. So once again, Kevin Harvick is in both categories. It looks like Denny Hamlin's in both categories. And Kyle Busch is also in the top 5 in both categories. Kyle Larson with 2. Kurt Busch also with 2. The significance of Kurt Busch here, of course, is that the winner of the Xfinity Series race, Ty Gibbs, is driving his car. So we know he will probably have speed here. Daniel Suarez with 2 as well. Joey Logano with 2. And Ryan Blaney with 2 also. So there's your top 10 in top 5s. And your previous winners since 2019. Kevin Harvick has 3. Ryan Blaney has 1. And Joey Logano also has either 1. I think he's got 1 as well. Yeah. So those are your previous statistics. So from those, some names sort of jump out immediately. Kevin Harvick with 3 wins, and he's in the top 5 in all of those categories, has to jump out. Martin Truex, if you're picking a guy just to have a top 10, Martin Truex has to be in that mix. Denny Hamlin also would have to be in that mix. And Kyle Busch would also, I think, have to be in that mix because all of those are in there. But some guys you don't really think about, or at least I didn't really think about, Kyle, and even as a Kyle Larson fan, Kyle Larson is actually in the top 10 in all of these categories, and he is also in the top 10 in a few of these categories, and that's pretty impressive because remember Daniel Suarez is only he had 1 year in a car that was like way off, so he had a throwaway year that is going to lower his average finish and stuff like that. So Daniel Suarez would be a good pick for a sleeper here based on those. But let's go to another sort of statistic that people don't really pay attention to that is sort of important, and it is a laps led. Let's see. Robin Mark's not a Kevin Harvick fan, but he's due. I agree. Miss Vicky, what's going on? Does Harvick get to victory lane? He's got a good chance. Bob Puckett, you have a sick T-shirt collection. Thanks, Bob. I've dropped a many $1 on it too. Sam DeLoach, I can see Ty pulling it off today. I think he would be a good sleeper. I haven't looked at the odds because that's one of the things. I don't look at the odds. I'm trying to do this live so you get the live reaction or whatever. But if he's laid the proper odds, he probably wouldn't be a terrible pick for entertainment purposes only. The diecast collection is on point as well, said David Pate. I appreciate it. I've spent probably more on that. So yeah, for sure. All right, let's go to laps led, where Joey Logano has 233. Kevin Harvick has 219. So those are two big power numbers right there. So now Joey Logano has to be on your radar. Joey Logano had an average finish of 12.8. Joey Logano has 2 top 5s. And he is a previous winner here. So Joey Logano obviously has to be on your radar as well. Let's see. Chase Elliott has 78 laps led. Brad Keselowski has 78 laps led. Of course, that was all in Penske equipment. So I don't know if you could sort of translate this over to Roush stuff. But you have to sort of swing over to sort of your Penske drivers. So I can see Blaney and Joey Logano both be going good here. So right now, as it stands, it's looking like Kevin Harvick and Penske and Gibbs, right? So it looks like Toyota and Ford. Not a lot of Chevrolets. There's a Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott seem to be your best picks if you want to pick a Chevrolet driver so far. Kyle Larson has 70 laps led. Ryan Blaney has 43 laps led. Another Penske guy. Martin Truex has 43. And Denny Hamlin has 37. So once again, you're showing your trends there. Not necessarily Hendrick, but Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. And then, of course, the Penske and the Gibbs cars. So you definitely have to look at them. And then if you go over and look at qualifying, it sort of played out that way, right? You got Toyota basically dominating that deal, where Bubba Wallace laid a lap down, a 37.755, 0.2 almost faster than the second place qualifier of Christopher Bell. So, I mean, if you're getting the right odds for Bubba Wallace, or if you were getting the right odds for Bubba Wallace before the race started, I mean, he's got a really, really fast car. He definitely gets it done at these super speedway type tracks, which I think Michigan is going to race like that if it's anything like the Xfinity Series. But then you got Christopher Bell, who qualified second, Kyle Busch, and Joey Logano. So they're the first two are sort of outside of the numbers, but the next two, if you look at that, you've got Kyle Busch and you've got Joey Logano in there, and then Austin Cindric, who was driving Brad Keselowski's car, the car that Brad Keselowski left. You have to look at him and say, hey, for sure, he has got to be a good pick because Brad Keselowski got good finishes in there. Then you've got Tyler Reddick next, Martin Truex Jr., who lines up. So Martin Truex Jr., he's going to be good here. So that'll be another pick. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Eric Jones, home track for Eric Jones. Never sleep on the home track guy. So those are your top 10. But 11th, 12th, and 13th are interesting because you've got Ty Gibbs, who is in Kurt Busch's car. He just won the Xfinity race. If you're getting good odds for him, you should probably take a look at him. Then you've got Noah Gragson in the 16. If you're getting good odds for Noah Gragson, definitely take a look at him because he had a really good car yesterday as well. This is a track he runs well out. And, of course, Chase Elliott, who is on the he's on the laps led, top 10s, average finish and all that. He's good here too. So you're starting to round it out and get a good look at who you want to pick. So from those numbers, I'm going to throw it to you guys. Who do you guys think who would be sort of your top 3 or top 5 you would pick here if you were picking? And while y'all, while y'all work on that, I am going to just circle a couple that I think. The first one I'm picking here has got to be Martin Truex here. His numbers just sort of line up. Kevin Harvick looking good. So I'm going to put KH4 there. I like Ryan Blaney. His numbers look good here. So that's 3 so far. Joey Logano. You can't put Ryan Blaney without putting Joey Logano. I need another Toyota here. Who is another Toyota? Denny Hamlin looking good. But I don't know that 2311's. Who's going to be my other Toyota? I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin based on the numbers. But that qualifying lap that the 23 car laid down was fast. No, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is due. Kyle Busch is due. Going with Kyle Busch. 1, 2, 3. Is that 5? Oh man. So that's my 5, and then I'm going to say for your 6th, flip a coin between Kyle Larson. Obviously, I'm going to pick Larson, but for you guys who aren't fans, maybe pick either Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott would be my Chevrolet pick, because I think either one of those two guys are going to get it done Chevrolet wise. Don't sleep on Tyler Reddick. This is a good track for Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick, he's one of those guys early in his career at least. He either wrecked or won, but Tyler Reddick definitely good. But now we get into your sort of sleepers, and for the sleepers, all right. So I've picked my drivers. Let's see who you guys picked. Robin Marks went with one of the old guys, either Truex, Harvick, or Kyle Busch. I like that. I think I've got all of them in there. So I got all them in there. So let's look at your odds. Kyle Busch is who DraftKings has as a favorite. He's got plus 450 odds. Denny Hamlin, another guy who I've got in that mix, has plus 650. Chase Elliott he's always in the top 5 just because he's the most popular driver. He's plus 800. Kyle Larson, I think he got a bump here too, plus 900. Martin Truex plus 1,000. Tyler Reddick plus 1,000. Bubba Wallace plus 1,000. So he's not going to be necessarily a good value pick. I was hoping he would have slightly worse odds than that, but I think after that qualifying lap, they probably bumped him up. Christopher Bell plus 1,200. Ross Chastain plus 1,500. I would stay away from him because I didn't see him on any of this stuff right here. He didn't necessarily qualify that well. Let's take a look at what some of you guys have picked before we get any further here. Bumblebee said, I'm going the 4, the 5, the 9, the 12, the 18, and the 22. I like those picks. Those are good, solid picks. Chase Elliott will win today, said Randall. For sure, he's got a good chance. I think him and Kyle Larson are probably going to be your best Chevrolet chances, with an outside chance of Reddick there. If Chevrolet is fast, it's just so hard to tell because qualifying and practice is so much different than the race these days. The 48 by default, but that ain't happening for sure. Alex Bowman has had a tough second half of the season. Him and William Byron started off really fast, and then something happened. William Byron clearly was cursed by level 4 wizard Joey Logano. That is almost basically fact at this point. Ford will win today after comments made about lack of wins. David Pate said that for sure. That's pretty much how life seems to work, doesn't it, David? I'll make a video complaining about something, or people will be talking about something, and then the very next week the exact opposite happens. This is a really good Ford track too, so that wouldn't surprise me. And I think if a Ford win comes here, it's 100% going to come from Penske, with an outside chance of Kevin Harvick, because Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers have really been good here. So I think either Joey Logano, if you're in the Ford camp, I think it's either going to be Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, or Ryan Blaney. I think Ryan Blaney is the defending race winner here. Do you see the 24 and the 48 making a turnaround come playoff time? They could. See, here's the thing. They both locked in early. Are they like trying some R&D stuff? Because that's classic Chad Knaus. He always did that with Jimmy Johnson. It's hard to say. Haven't been monitored yet. Is Kez even running good? Home track, yeah. Brad Keselowski is really good here, but it's hard to quantitate how good he's going to run here with the RFK equipment. I don't know. For sure. So let's take a look at the rest of them. I think I stopped off at Logano's at plus. I stopped off at Chastain. So Logano is plus 1,500. Ryan Blaney plus 1,500. William Byron at 2,500. Kevin Harvick at 2,500. So there's so far a pretty good value pick. And then you got Daniel Suarez, who I also think is a pretty good value pick. Daniel Suarez at 2,500. Kevin Harvick at 2,500. And here we go. Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman at plus 3,000, and Ty Gibbs also plus 3,000. Eric Jones plus 3,000. Austin Cindric plus 4,000. I think those three right there, Ty Gibbs, Eric Jones, Austin Cindric, are good value picks for sure for entertainment purposes only. And even better on those, if you just pick them to get a top 5. Let's see, they are plus 500, plus 350, and plus 350. So not as good of a value pick there. But I like the odds that those guys are laid. Those are definitely your underdogs. That would be Austin Cindric, Eric Jones, and Ty Gibbs. Um, and then you get in here to your long shots. Anybody on the long shot? So here's some interesting ones for long shots. Plus 10,000 Chase Briscoe, plus 10,000 Austin Dillon, plus 25,000 Ricky Stenhouse. These are guys. Austin Dillon actually runs really good here at Michigan. Uh, I know he's not everybody's favorite driver, but the plus 1,200 for a top five, it would not be a bad pick on Austin Dillon. And just putting $10 or $1 on a guy like Austin Dillon for entertainment purposes only would also be not a bad pick. Chase Briscoe, not a bad pick with basically the same odds, and Ricky Stenhouse with even better odds as far as would be benefiting to you. Also, wouldn't be a bad pick here. But scroll on down, and you've got Noah Gregson at 25,000 and 500 for the top five. Wouldn't be a bad pick. Brad Keselowski getting the exact same odds. Brad Keselowski's here. He's really good here. So if RFK gives him anything to drive, Brad Keselowski could definitely get it done. There is absolutely no doubt about that. And scrolling through the rest of the bottom here, you got BJ McLeod, Corey LaJoie, Cody Ware, JJ Yaley, Josh Balicki, Todd Gilliland, and Austin Hill. Austin Hill's an interesting one. We have no idea what he's going to do, so he's a complete wild card. Harrison Burton has sort of turned it around here toward the end of the season, but those are your super long shots. I wouldn't I wouldn't bank on any of them, but if you want to have some fun, those are definitely guys. But I do like some of the guys down there. The ones I mentioned, Brad is my dark horse. So yeah, that's not a bad pick, Robin Marks. Austin was great last year until he got wrecked. Bumblebee said, "Yeah, this is pretty much good." He's pretty good at Michigan. It's one of the tracks that he's always pretty good at. I love the City Chevrolet banner. Said Scott, yeah, that was one of the big gets when William Byron ran that throwback scheme. I got as much as I could. I couldn't get the die cast; they sold out before I could get them. But I got pretty much everything else. I got a hat, I got the banner, I got a T-shirt. So I did what fans do when something cool comes out. I bought as much as I could. I'm sure NASCAR and Hendrick appreciated it. Blaney for sure, unless Alex backs into a win, said David Pate. Yeah, so and that's the thing about Alex Bowman. You can never count him out, but you can never count on him to be consistent. That's sort of been the mantra of his career, right? He was looking super consistent at the beginning of this year. I thought, like, man, he's got it figured out. And then as soon as I started thinking that, nope, pretty much went back to being inconsistent. But they could be doing R&D stuff. Hendrick likes to do crazy stuff like that. It might be rainy today. The forecast isn't looking all that good. Talladega Tom. So that's another thing. Rain can throw it can throw a curveball at you, and you don't know what you'll be doing. It could make the track green, so your setup. Some people's setups will go to complete and stuff like that. Rain is a big factor. Temperature is always a big factor. They said with this car, temperature is actually a huge factor. Now, if NASCAR would start races at noon local time, they might get this one in. But nah, see, they're trying to get that West Coast market, so they try to start them at 3 o'clock over here on the East Coast so that everybody can watch them. I get it. I don't know exactly how you do that one. I get both arguments on that. I mean, selfishly, I'd like them to start them at noon, but it is what it is. Where did you get the Wendell Scott shirt from yesterday? That's actually on NASCAR.com, or you can go if you visit the NASCAR museum, which is where I got that one from, the NASCAR museum in Charlotte. That's where that one came from. But they do have them at NASCAR.com, so you don't have to travel to the museum. But they do have them at both places. The Ford racing director should be complaining about NASCAR's treatment toward Ford instead of complaining about Ford's lack of wins. Ford should flood NASCAR with money like GM and Toyota does. Mark Johnson said that. I agree. I think privately you can talk to your Ford teams like that, but you don't make that announcement publicly. And also, once again, privately, be beating on the NASCAR. He said, I'm not going to beat on the side of the NASCAR hauler and try to get improvements that way. Dude, well, that's your job. That is 100% your job. That's what you should be doing. I did not like that comment. If I was a Ford driver, I would be like, get me somebody else as director here, because we want, in racing, you want every advantage you can get. You don't, if you're a Ford guy, you don't worry about it being fair for everybody else. You want your car to be the fastest, and he needs to be beaten on the side of that hauler or trailer hauler door and say, hey, we need some help here. You messed up our nose at the beginning of the season. You know, you got to work every angle you can work there to get every advantage you can get. I mean, how do you think Chevrolet got a nose redesign halfway through the last generation car, right? Chevrolet wasn't doing anything from 2018 to about 2019, and then they got that nose change, and then everybody, you know, the only people that could do anything with that car, I think the only people that won in Chevrolets were Chase Elliott, uh, Alex Bowman, maybe William Byron, and then there was the rain race with the 77, Justin Haley. Dillon won the Daytona 500 in Texas. So I mean that was like that was your only Chevrolet drivers that won, and the only multiple winners on those deals were Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott. So like Chevrolet got that nose changed, and Ford needs to do something very similar, in my opinion, because they got that curveball thrown at them at the beginning of the season, and they have not recovered since. Check the radar. There's going to be clouds and rains for sure. Unfortunately, if no cautions happen, Fords won't finish in the top 10, said Mark Johnson. I don't know. This is a Ford track. They had pretty good speed. They qualified well. Toyota definitely has it figured out, but I think what I want to, I'm not going to say I think, what I'd like to see is what those Toyotas might have been all the way trimmed out or something like that. I'd like to see what those Toyotas do in traffic because it might be one of those deals with clean air. They're super fast. But if you get anything in front of them, they might not be as fast. Spokane Old Timer, I kind of liked early races out here. Gave you the afternoon for whatever. Kevin Clark said that. Yeah, so my buddy who I went to school with, he was from California. He said he missed the West Coast because he could wake up in the morning and watch all of his sports and then had the rest of the day to do everything else. So I think that's something NASCAR is sort of missing out on too. And also, if you start especially when the NFL season comes, if you start a race at like 12 noon, you've at least got fans to watch it until their football team starts playing football. So I've always thought that was a good idea too. But it is what it is. NASCAR is going to do what NASCAR wants to do. NASCAR is going to NASCAR, right? Agreed. Ford should have made a huge deal about the nose issue. Yeah, for me, David Pate, I 100% did not understand why they didn't make a bigger deal about that than they did. Because I would have been raising all kinds of fuss, raising all kinds of cane. Like I would have been like, why are you not helping us out here? Because we have done nothing. Like the season hasn't even started and you're changing our nose. Like we haven't even run a race yet and you're changing like a race that pays points at least. And you're changing our nose. Like there's no way they saw something at the LA Coliseum, the football stadium track. There's no way they saw any type of aero advantage where they had to change Ford's nose after that exhibition race. So that one was that was a head scratcher for sure. I don't know. Kez gets out front. Nobody better at blocking. I said Kevin Clark. Yeah, for sure. Brad Keselowski does not like blocking, but when he's in front, he does it because you got to do what you got to do to win. So I think if Keselowski can get some track position, he could make a show of it. But from qualifying and stuff like that, I didn't see where he put up any type of numbers. So I don't know. Lewis Kemp, what's going on? He said, good morning, everyone. Good going here. So we will take, so that was basically, for those who just tuned in, we looked at the top 10, the top 5, your previous winners and laps led, and then where people qualified. And we picked who we picked. And so my picks were Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, and Kyle Busch. Those are my 5 picks, and then outside choices, my 6th and 7th pick would be Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. So I think your winner is going to come from one of those guys. I know, could I possibly pick any more? So I guess what we need to do, what I used to do back in the old day on the show, I would narrow it down and be like, who do I think is going to win this race? By the numbers, if you're looking strictly at the numbers, who would win this race by the numbers? It's got to be Kevin Harvick. If you just look at previous numbers, it's going to be either Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, or Joey Logano. Overwhelmingly, the numbers lean toward Kevin Harvick with an outside chance of Joey Logano. So if you're going strictly by the numbers, you're picking Kevin Harvick in the 4 car. But this is a brand new car, right? And races never play out exactly by the numbers. If races played out by the numbers, there would be a lot of rich people in Vegas. So who I'm actually picking to win the race, if Kevin Harvick doesn't do it by the numbers, I'm going either Ryan Blaney or Joey Logano. I think they get the race won, but it's a big question mark because the Toyotas are so fast. It's hard not to pick a Toyota here. So there's also Martin Truex and Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch in that mix. So I think Kyle Busch or Ryan Blaney. I think those are going to be your guys that win it. But I don't know, just for whatever reason, I'm getting a feeling that it's either going to be Joey Logano or Ryan Blaney that win this race. But looking at the speed charts and stuff like that, it's hard to go against Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. So I don't know, or Denny Hamlin, or Bubba Wallace, who laid down a lap 0.2 faster than the second place car. So it's hard to go against the Toyotas, but for whatever reason, I've just got a feeling, and this is just probably me wanting Ryan Blaney to get into the playoffs, right? But I just got a feeling Ryan Blaney or Kevin Harvick are going to win this race, or Joey Logano. This has always just been a Penske track to me, and until I see Penske get beat here, I don't know. Or at least a Ford track, because Kevin Harvick's won here 3 times too, so I don't know. I just feel like a Ford is going to win, but it's almost idiotic of me not to pick a Toyota, right? So I don't know. I just feel like I've seen Fords win here so many times, but Toyota has so much pace here, so I don't know. Flip a coin. But I guess if you had to really pin me down, I'm going Ryan Blaney here with Kyle Busch if you're picking by speed. So either Ryan Blaney or Kyle Busch. That's my final answer. I know I've said about 12 things that contradicted each other here. Let's see. Do you think is going to be on the right rear to pass? I think they had a lot of trouble passing in the Xfinity race. Now these cars obviously deflect wind differently, and I don't know how the drafting and pushes are going to work. But it's typically this used to be a track that really you had a lot of grooves. You could pass anywhere. But ironically, since they've put that track treatment on there, the VHT or whatever you want to call it, the sticky stuff, it's turned into more of a 1 or 2 groove track. So I don't know that necessarily helped that track when they did that here, but it's hard to say. It's going to be Allgaier running ovals for the new German team. Yeah, that's so. Let's talk about that real quick because I had a bunch of questions about that. Who are the drivers that are rumored for that? Earl Bamber is rumored to be the Earl Bamber has made some starts for various NASCAR Cup Series teams. He is a 24 hours Daytona champion multiple times. So it's I'm pretty much 90% sure Earl Bamber is going to be the road course guy. That's who's going to race the Charlotte Roval for him. And the other big rumor is that Justin Allgaier is going to be the guy that drives ovals for him. So that is a good point. So just to follow up on the new German team coming to Cup, and do I think they'll be competitive? I think they will probably, define competitive. It's going to be a brand new team. I don't expect them to come out there and start running with, the Penske's and Joe Gibbs and Rick Hendricks of the world. But I think they'll be more competitive than Live Fast, Rick Ware Racing, teams like that. I think they'll probably be one or 2 steps below RCR. I could see them in a year or 2 sort of being where Front Row Motorsports is at, possibly. So I think that's sort of where I would put them, sort of in that RCR Front Row mix, but probably a step or 2 behind them until they sort of get their feet underneath of them. But they are all the people on that team have touring car experience overseas, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them do well. I think they're not just going to be like a lot of people they're just going to run in the back of the pack, another back of the pack team. I think they'll be a lot better than that. But we'll wait and see. But I think they'll definitely be better than Rick Ware Racing and Live Fast. Nothing against Rick Ware Racing and Live Fast. They do their best. And I think they'll be better than Spire too. I don't know what's going on with Spire, but I was really expecting a lot more performance this season from them. Toyotas have too much of an advantage still running that tape. Whitman 22 said, "Yeah, if they get popped for anything this weekend, it's going to be a huge deal, right?" So let's see. Harvick, don't waste your money. All in on Kyle Larson. I mean, of course, I'm picking Kyle Larson in my heart of hearts. I would pick him every race if I did it like that. I'm picking Kyle Larson for the upset, no doubt. But I was talking about as far as odds go, you're getting good odds for certain guys and pretty good odds for Kevin Harvick there, I think. So I wouldn't sleep on him. Let's see. You don't have to worry about Bubba. His pit crew will blow it. So definitely, I would normally agree with you. But since Ty has been driving the 45, he's actually got Kurt Busch's pit crew on the 23, and I think you've actually seen that has definitely sort of helped him. If you look at the last three races, I think he's got a fifth, a third, and an eighth or something like that. So since he's gotten Kurt Busch's pit crew, his performance has improved. So I put out a tweet. I forget who I was talking to, but I put out a tweet from the. So you're saying there's a chance from Dumb and Dumber because he definitely has a better pit crew now, and that's one thing. If they could get the pit crews figured out at 2311, their performance would be so much better. Berger, you're finally getting some viewers. It's almost double since I started watching. So Randall, yeah, I appreciate it, man. I can't believe it. Every day I look at it and I'm just like, man, this is so crazy. I can't even wrap my head around it. It's just, man, I just really appreciate you guys. I guess that's all I can say. I really appreciate you guys, and I thank you, and I hope it keeps going. But if it don't, that's fine. Even when I had 10 subscribers, I kept making them. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I do, and hopefully it works out. But I really do appreciate each and every single one of you, and I just thank you so much. I really appreciate having a community I can talk about NASCAR with. And there's no other stuff. We're just talking NASCAR and not all the other nonsense that we get weighted down with the rest of the world when we talk about it. So it's just cool to have something to relax and just talk about NASCAR about. I like Chevrolet, but Ford did get messed up. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I'm a Chevrolet guy, but I don't hate any other manufacturer. And definitely this season, it feels like Ford, in a lot of senses, has been messed over. They've had the more harsher penalties for whatever reason. And that nose thing right before Daytona, like it just seems like thing after thing has been against Ford, and that's just that's on paper. There's no denying that. So the director of Ford, Mark, whatever I can't remember his last name, but I know his first name is Mark. He needs to be beating on that hauler door. He needs to be beating on the sides of it. He's like, hey, y'all are messing us up. You need to give us some type of advantage here because you've messed us up all season. So I would definitely be beating on the side of the hauler door. I don't know what he was talking about with that nonsense. My grandma could outrun Rick Ware Racing, said Bumblebee. Yeah, Rick Ware Racing has not been competitive. You've even seen fairly good drivers. I remember John Hunter Nemechek ran that car one time, and the most he could get out of it was like a 22nd or something. And he's pretty good. So although streaky, he would either wreck or get a good finish. But even he driving it as hard as you could possibly drive it could only get it up into the 20s. So they definitely need some help over there. You think HMS was using an illegal brake setup last week? So odd that Larson and his team addressed the wreck. How Larson and his team addressed the wreck? Yeah, it's definitely been odd how it's been covered. I would love to know the full story about why they keep talking about Kyle Larson having a wreck, because I'm just like, yeah, the dude screwed up and wrecked. Like, I don't get it, but I guess obviously some people in the media feel that there was something illegal there, and that's why it failed like that. I don't know. Kyle Larson said that Eric Almirola did the same thing. There just weren't any cars in front of him, so you didn't really see it. So he said there were other guys having a similar problem. This could go back to the new car thing. Was it a brake issue, or because it showed him braking, right? If you look at the leaked SMT data, if that's even real or accurate, or could it go back to the rack and pinion steering? You saw at the beginning of that race, Denny Hamlin was having all kinds of problems with the steering, like the car was cutting and spinning out. Is it just an issue that this track didn't necessarily agree with the new car? Like, this new car setup apparently is on such a fine edge that if you go too far with it one way or the other, it's just not going to be good. It also could be the brake fluid got hot. That was my theory. I thought the brake fluid got hot and he probably pushed it and didn't have brake for one part of it. Then he pushed it again and he had brake. And so he just, I don't know, just got out of control. It could be anything. But it's definitely weird that they keep covering it. So it's like the media believes that they had something going on, and they just keep asking them questions, trying to get them to slip up or whatever. You know how the media likes to go after somebody. This team and its fans overseas is exactly why NASCAR is adding all the road courses, and Blaney is the man today. CPO Fast Forward said, "Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think they saw sort of what F1's got going on, and plus it's just a no-brainer. Like, it's always going to be a good thing when someone from Germany, like I can't imagine there's a ton of NASCAR fans in Germany, so it's just going to make more NASCAR fans in Germany, right? So how could it possibly be bad? And some people are like NASCAR should always stay American and all this and all. Well, NASCAR is still American. It's just German fans are enjoying an American sport, just like American fans or United States fans are enjoying F1, a typically European sport. So, I mean, I don't know. Somebody's always going to be upset. Somebody's always going to be happy, but I view it as a really good thing. So I don't see any downside to it. I think it's awesome. I love to have. I wish everybody internationally could watch NASCAR and stuff because I think it's a fun sport to watch. I think as far as motorsports goes, it has to be one of your top three because it's just fun. It's different than any other motorsport. It's just it's its own thing, and it will always be its own thing. Uh, as long as they, as long as they sort of at some point leave it alone and stop changing rules every season. All six Toyotas in the top 11, said Whitman. Yeah, like I said, I feel like a dummy not picking a Toyota, but I just really for basically all of my life, this has always been a Ford track, so it's hard for me to not pick a Ford either. That's why I said it's either probably going to be Ryan or Kyle Busch. That would be my picks. Like you have to have a Toyota in those picks. So for sure, I subscribed back when it was a few hundred Robin Marks. Yeah, and that wasn't that long ago. Like it just it's blowing up, and I appreciate you guys. Like I said, Cal Tiki with the 3 fried bologna sandwiches. Yes, sir. The bologna burgers. I love it. Thanks, Cal Tiki. Kevin Clark, football is about to start. Ouch. Yeah, I mean that's a real thing though. When football starts, the viewership will go down. But if you start the races before the football game, you will at least get some people to watch it. And also, if you start the races, the people that are watching the 2:30 games, yeah, they're not going to watch the race. But the people watching the 4 o'clock games, if you start the race at noon, they will watch the race, and then while they're getting their stuff ready for football, getting their spread ready for having all the people over to watch the football game, they can have the race on TV, and they'll be keeping up with that. So that I think that kind of is what always made NASCAR more popular in the '90s because it was on at noon, and people had it on sort of in the background waiting on the football game. Like that's a big thing that never really gets talked about. So that's kind of why I'm for the noon start time. And like I said, a lot of people on the West Coast loved it because they woke up early in the morning, they watched the NASCAR race, and then they started watching. They had the rest of the day to do whatever, watch football or whatever. Denny on Dirty was cool. Yeah, the door bumper clear deal. I haven't seen all of it, but the stuff that I did see on it was definitely good stuff. I agree with hot brake fluid, said Robin Marks. That would mean it was temporary, and then he got the brakes back, and the vapor got moved out of the lines. Yeah, to me, that was my original first thought. Either the brakes failed, or the brake fluid got too hot, or the throttle hung. Those were my 3 thoughts on it. So it is what it is. Bumblebee said America's going to America. That's for sure. There's definitely some people that want NASCAR to only be America's thing, and they get super upset when I say anything about any driver from any other country coming in. They don't like it, but it is what it is. I think it's good for the sport overall. I don't see where it hurts it at all. I don't see where it makes it less American either. Like I never understood that argument. So like F1 drivers slowing. Yeah. Like F1 drivers slowly driving NASCAR 26 and 91 this year. Yeah, that'll be cool. That Project 91 is going to be an awesome deal. I'm really excited to see that, and I'm really just excited to see where Daniel Ricciardo lands. If somebody can get a few NASCAR races out of him now that he's basically going to be released from McLaren at the end of this season, it'll be interesting to see that. As an F1 fan, NASCAR is much more entertaining, a lot more passes. Dylan Brown said that. Yeah. So and that's the thing. I don't really compare them because they're just 2 totally different things. F1 is a completely technical sport. Where it's I forgot who the driver was, but he was like in the '90s. It was 75% car, 25% driver. He said now it's more like 90% car, 10% driver. I forget who it was, but it's one of the past champions. So that's a very technical sport. You have to have a good team behind you. You can be the best driver in the world over there. You're not making up a whole lot of positions. Whereas NASCAR, you still with this car basically being the way it is now, it's a lot more on the driver, and you're seeing some drivers you didn't see before sort of rise to the top more so than they had in the past. So I think there's a lot more driver input in NASCAR. You still have to have a good car, though. Obviously, you can't put Kyle Busch in a Rick Ware car, and Kyle Busch is not going to do any better than a lot of those Rick Ware drivers. He might get top 20s instead of top 30s, but he's not going to be. It's not that much of a difference. You still have to have a good car. So I'm not saying that. The way they talked up Toyota yesterday, the race will be the opposite, said Joshua Pittman. They'll be too trimmed out and not racy. Yeah, I think that has to be a real concern. If you're Toyota, were you too trimmed out for qualifying? And if somebody gets in front of you, is that totally going to make your car push and slide? Is it going to be terrible in traffic? That's definitely something to watch and look for. With the desire for more charters and teams, is it time for NASCAR to split into divisions? Oh man, that's a good question, and that's one thing that I've sort of thrown out there. If NASCAR had more charters, let's think about if NASCAR had like 70 charters, and it would guarantee you to be in the race. But at the end of the season, if you were in the bottom 30 in points, you move down, and basically you would have to make the Xfinity Series the exact same car. Maybe with a different motor or engine than the Cup Series, but it would sort of be like soccer, where if you're in the bottom 30 in points, you get relegated to the Xfinity Series, and the top 4 in the Xfinity Series get moved up to Cup. So I think that would be a better use of your charters, and I think you would still have to leave 3 or 4 spots open for people who don't have charters at all, because you still want to give people the chance to build their own car, even though it's basically a spec car. I still think you want to give teams a chance to build their own car and get in that way as well. So I think you would still have to leave open 3 or 4 spots for regular people like that. But the chart, as far as the charter deal goes, I think there should be relegation to another series. So I would be down with that in that aspect or in that sense of it. So I think that would probably be the best way to do it. So good question, Jack79. I think that would be the best way to do that. If you wanted to increase charters, just do it that way. And it would make the sport cheaper in theory, because more people would be buying those chassis. And the more you buy something, the more it's produced, the more cheaply it can be built. In theory, if you do it the right way. I remember in 1996, a NASCAR race at Suzuka, Japan. The world paid attention to it, said Lewis Kemp. Yeah, it was a big deal, and I think Mike Skinner won one, and Rusty Wallace won the other one at the Moto Guy, or it might be reversed. Maybe Mike Skinner won Moto Guy, and Rusty Wallace might have won Suzuka, but definitely, that was a big deal back in the day. And they went to Mexico City also with the Xfinity Series, and I think Juan Pablo Montoya won that race, possibly. I might be wrong on that. Bologna burger. Describe your ideal bologna burger. Jack79. That would be a fried bologna burger. You got to fry it so that there's a little bit of you got to blacken the edges just a little bit. You want to put caramelized onions and mustard on it. Regular yellow mustard, not brown mustard. That's probably the best way to eat it. And yeah, I don't grill my bun, but I do warm it up a little bit. So I'd warm up my bun a little bit. So that's probably the best way I eat them. But I've seen all kinds of stuff. There's a guy who puts barbecue sauce in it when he caramelizes his onions. That's a good way to go. I would skip the mustard on that particular deal. But yeah, my favorite way is caramelized onions, mustard, and black and fried bologna. That is the best to me. Exactly. I'm on the West Coast, and a 9 a.m. start is great. I missed that. Talladega Tom said, "Yeah, like I feel like they're going for the West Coast market the wrong way. They had more probably of a West Coast market back in the day when they started it at 9 a.m. and NASCAR was the deal at 9 a.m. And then after that, you watch something else. I definitely think they're missing the mark there. Jenna Allison, hello from Washington State. What's up, Washington State? What's up, Jenna? Canada loves NASCAR too. Bring in the world. I think that's my big thing. We've got Mexico City and we've got the Toronto street course. I didn't understand if NASCAR wanted a street course so bad. Why not just go race in Toronto? that's a huge market, and that's a street course that actually puts on good races if you watch the Piney Series, or at least good races for a street course. So I think Toronto would have been the better option for a street course. But NASCAR wanted to be in Chicago and they've got their reasons. They've got their own market research and stuff like that. But I thought Toronto would be a better street race. But it is what it is. But yeah, I think NASCAR should definitely. They've got the Piney Series up there. I don't know why they're not making some type of moves. I know they had one race at one. There was one super awesome road course they had in Canada, and it was really modern and awesome. And then it just didn't work out, and it got torn down. I think it got torn down, but I know it got abandoned. Jenna Allison said, "Rowdy fan for life. Get well, Kurt, for sure, man. We really hope Kurt gets well. Hopefully, he'll be back. He'll be healthy by Richmond, but I don't want him to rush back either. I want him to get all the way right because that's nothing to play around with." Yes, Rowdy was the best, proud Canadian, and I'm a Kurt fan too. Talking about Rowdy Piper, he was awesome. That was Robin Marks. Kevin Clark, being able to run into each other with minimal damage is the number one reason for the turn one calamity. Yeah, so, and Kevin Clark, they made all this fuss about track limits, and then they really kind of didn't enforce them there. But it's part of NASCAR. I think eventually, if they ran that track enough times, they would figure out you're not going to win the race from 14th. I don't know why you've got to tell stock car drivers that have been racing as long as they have that you're not going to win a race from 14th doing something crazy like that. But part of the problem is the point system. The horrific playoff point system that they have now doesn't reward any type of consistency. So there's really no reason not to drive like it's a video game, which is what they were doing there, and just wreck everybody and try to win, because the only thing that pays money is wins. The only thing you could do to fix that would be the old late model rule. If you're involved in the caution, whether you started it, whether it was intentional, but if you were involved in the caution and had to stop on the track or was spun on the track as part of the caution, you go to the back of the field. That is really the only thing you can do with this playoff system to sort of curtail the nonsense that happened in turn one in Indy. So if you know that you're in the caution and you're going to the back of the pack, you're going to think twice about that, because you're going to lose all of your track position if you engage in that buffoonery that was what every car on the inside tried to pull at Indianapolis. Kurt Busch in the Rick Ware car will be a very, very colorful radio. Would he even make it to the end of the season? David Pate. If Kyle Busch was in the Rick Ware car, would he even make it to the end of the season? His head might explode. That might be the first case of watching a man's head explode on live TV. Like if he was driving a Rick Ware car, that would just be interesting in itself. Yeah, I don't know. That would be your reality TV show right there. Kurt Busch driving for Rick Ware Racing for a full season. In the '90s, the F1 car to beat was the Williams car. Yeah, oh man. The Williams car was the jam back in the day. They actually figured out so much stuff. They had a variable, the first CVT. CVTs today, we think about gas saving transmissions, but they had a CVT. They came up with they had an AI, an artificial intelligence that almost drove the car for you, which both of those were outlawed. The CVT was outlawed before it ever ran a race. The FIA saw that and heard it in practice, and they said, nope, we won't be putting that on a race car. But they had so much innovation at Williams back in the day. It's really sad to see Williams where it is now, because Williams, man, they were so good back in the day. Mansell and Prost won championships in it, and Senna passed away in it. Yeah, Lewis Kemp for sure. Yeah, that is the deal. So basically, what was going on back then is Prost and Senna were teammates, and Prost knew he was not, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, Prost knew he was not a better driver than Senna, so he would just keep going to better teams, and then Senna would follow him. So that is sort of why Senna was at Williams when that happened. But they had already taken away the driver assist data by then, and the car wasn't as good, and Senna was pushing it to make it better, like Senna did, and that is what happened. So yeah, Bumblebee said, "I miss DQs." Yeah, I do. I miss disqualifications as well. David Pay, let's see, what's up, man? Hope all is well. It is going good, Danny and Gray's Cards and Toys. Yeah, it's going good today. I hope you guys are doing good too. Jen Allison, do you like spam? It depends on how it's cooked. I like something posing as meat. Yeah, I think spam is like chicken, pork, and something else. It's a meat-like substance. We'll put it that way. If it's cooked properly, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what will make a lot of people say is explode. Instead of putting ham on your pizza, put spam and pineapple. That is a real Hawaiian pizza. So that is actually pretty good. You got to cut the spam pretty thin though. Let's see. I was at Wilkesboro last Tuesday for the first race back. Oh, that's awesome! You saw Ryan Newman win? That's really cool that it worked out like that too. So the first race back, I think I can talk about this. Ryan Newman won the first race back at Wilkesboro in the modifieds. So that's awesome, man. You got to see a good one for sure, and it was good to see Ryan Newman win too. On top of that, he basically didn't want to leave NASCAR, but had to leave NASCAR. But he wins the first race back. He won at Wilkesboro, and he wins an SRX race this year and did pretty good in SRX. So definitely good stuff there for Ryan Newman. And hopefully people see he can still be done. Funny, 4 years I was known as a triple decker baloney. Oddly, never tried something like you described. West Coast, first time I ever heard of fried was on TV. Oh yeah, Kevin Clark, you got to try one, man. They're so good. And the bad thing about it is, I hate to say it, but they're overrated. If you go get them at South Boston now, there's a different. Back in the '80s is when I was getting them and stuff like that. They're not nearly as good as they used to be because the people don't know how to cook them. But if you cook them yourself, you can still get them there. But like back in the day, Orange County and South Boston and Ace Speedway, they really cooked them. Ace Speedway is making an effort to get back to that. They've got a program where they're trying to get their bologna burger to be the best in the area. So look out for them. If you're at Ace Speedway, try the bologna burger there. They got a new bologna burger coming. That is why they actually didn't have bologna burgers last time I was there. They're working on getting a new vendor because he had the owner of the track had the same idea I had. Let's see. Hit the like button. It helps the show a lot. It says Mark Wachowski, and he is absolutely right. If you want to hit the like button, I would really appreciate it. LXN, I think multi-grooves and clean air and drafting will make a great Michigan race. Worried about the car safety, though. Yeah, that is a big issue for sure. This car takes front end and rear end impacts a lot harder than the old car did, and it sends it straight to the driver. And that is what's shaking up these drivers. Even in some wrecks that don't look as big, you see it hurt these drivers a lot more than some of those wrecks. And every wreck in a race car is big. Let's not act like it's not. Caltiki said no jalapenos on the bologna burger, but yeah, safety will be an issue. Yeah, I do put jalapenos on it sometime, but typically, like at the racetrack, they don't have jalapenos. So that is the typical racetrack fare is caramelized onions and a mustard. Let's see. Mark Wachowski said, "You're right. Send them to the back if they're part of the wreck." Yeah, that's 100% true. Like if they're part of the wreck, they should be sent to the back. That would fix all this mess. Not all of it, but would fix a great deal of it. Like if you lose track position for wrecking somebody, you'll think twice about wrecking them. You might nudge them and move them out of the way, but you won't fully wreck them, like some guys have been doing. Kurt Busch driving for Phoenix Racing for a year was just about the same as driving for Rick Ware. Yeah, a CPO fast forward. I agree with you to an extent, except the Phoenix Racing guy, he actually wants to win. So you knew you had a couple of glimmering bright spots when you got to plate tracks in 2012, right? You knew the car would be fast at a plate track. But everywhere else, yeah, I'm sure Kurt Busch, and that's probably where he learned how to be more humble because he was like, man, there's guys that's been driving back here in the back of the pack with this type of stuff. So that's probably where a lot of his humbleness later in his career has come from. Not that he's super humble, but he's more. If you remember earlier, Kurt Busch, he he was not humble at all, and he's definitely gotten his emotions under control since then. Good morning, everyone. I just popped in to say, hey, have a great day, everyone. Have a great race day, everyone. Donald Camp, what's up, Donald? Glad to have you on. You're breaking up badly. I don't know. I'm trying. I don't know. It could be. I've got bad internet all the time. I don't know if a shower has popped up outside. I've got everything blacked out over here. I can't hear any rain, but that doesn't mean anything. Let's see. Yeah, I can't hear any rain, but hopefully the audio is not as bad. He's rapping. It's glitchy. Uh-oh. I'm pretty sure I'm having bad internet here. We can't hear you. Yeah, audio. Can you hear me now? Jenna Allison said, I really like your channel. Distortion is happening to your voice. I'm doing a great job rapping, apparently. My beard is awesome. What's up? My new William Byron hat and shirt are coming in the mail this week. Number 3 passed on what looked like a medium hit. You can't tell from the look, really. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Trucker Dan said, "What's up? What's up, Trucker Dan?" JD Mayo, my new William. I just did that one. Let's see. It's working fine now. Okay, it's better now. All right, good. All right. Let's see. I became a Kurt fan when he drove the 51, and more impressed in the 78. Yeah, like the fact that he went down there and kept racing, it shows how much he wants to race and how badly he wants to race. I think it was the main thing there, and he definitely got more humbled. I was very the same. It's the same reason I was always a Daniel Suarez fan, but I became an even bigger Daniel Suarez fan when he said, "I'm not going back down to the Xfinity Series. I've won the championship there. I don't have anything else to prove there. I am a Cup Series driver. I am going to drive in the Cup Series." So when he drove that number 96 and he just toughed it out for a year, he knew he had no chance of winning. He didn't qualify for the Daytona 500. That showed me a lot about Daniel Suarez's character, and that I became a huge Daniel Suarez fan. I've got an appreciation for Daniel Suarez. So him and Kurt Busch doing that showed me a lot. So any driver, and Alex Bowman too. Alex Bowman drove terrible cars at the beginning of his career. Like he drove bad cars for a long time, just trying to get into the Cup Series, and luckily it worked out for him. So same thing with Ross Chastain. There are guys like that who showed that they really just want to be race car drivers, and they'll drive whatever they got to drive just to be a part of it. So I got a lot of respect for those guys. Let's see. Boys, lots of Toyotas qualified up front. Seems odd. I don't know if it's odd, but I definitely want to see how they race. I want to know if they had them too trimmed out or what. I think that's definitely going to be the issue. What happens when they get back in traffic? That's going to be a huge deal. Kurt is the man, said Robert Stone. There's not a whole lot of arguing that. He's the last link. He's the last driver to have raced with Dale Earnhardt. He bridges a lot of generations. He's got a ton of fans. He's got a championship. He wins a race just about every year. He's got good statistics for sure. Every team he goes to gets better. Kurt Busch is a heck of a race car driver. He doesn't get necessarily all the attention that his brother gets, but he is no slouch, and he is a champion. He's definitely going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Let me know if you think Kurt Busch is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think it's even a question. I think he's first ballot all the way. Love to see Martin Truex Jr. get a win. Hate to see him fade out when he retires. Yeah, this is also this could be the track that Martin Truex Jr. gets a win at. I keep thinking about he's in the playoffs, but he's barely in the playoffs, right? If somebody wins, he's not in the playoffs. So this definitely could be the race that Martin Truex Jr. wins. So yeah, he's let's see, where is he qualified at? Looks like he's 6th or 7th, maybe 8th. He qualified 6th, 7th, or 8th in there. I didn't write my numbers down beside it. I just got it there, so I counted. But he looks like he's in the top 10 qualifying, so he's got a fast car. He's good there. His numbers stack up. Let's see. Jenna Allison says, me too. I love Danny Boy Suarez. He's awesome. I appreciate it, Jenna Allison. She said she liked my beard earlier too, so thanks for the beard shout out. Used to be all drivers had to drive junk until they earned a top ride. Robert Stone said, "Yeah, I sort of miss the old days like that. I wish it was more like that now, but now it's like whoever can afford to be in a race car gets to be in the race car. It's definitely a different era. I like it. Go Toyota, and let's do this thing, Bubba. P1, Jenna Allison. He's got a good chance, man. That lap he laid down, I'm struggling to remember the last time somebody laid a lap down that was 0.2 faster than the second place car. So it's hard. It would be hard to bet against them. I want to see what those Toyotas do in traffic. That would be my only real concern. But if they're good in traffic, Toyota's going to win this race hands down, no doubt. But like I said, I've seen so many Fords win at Michigan. It's hard to pick against a Ford. So my picks for that, of course, in case you missed the first half of this, Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney are going to be my two picks to win the race, with an outside chance of Kevin Harvick and now Martin Truex, because I keep forgetting Martin Truex is not locked into the playoffs because I'm just so used to Martin Truex being locked into the playoffs. Toyota will kill the sport. They are tight with NASCAR money wise, said Brian. They're definitely the big money backer behind, one of the big money backers behind NASCAR right now. But it's always oscillated like that. It just depends on the era, as to which manufacturer is doing it. So we'll see what happens. Robert Stone said his ex-wife was a ninja. Well, she claimed to be a ninja. She wrote all kinds of books and stuff like that. But one thing for sure, his ex-wife is a convicted criminal. So she is. I think she's still behind bars. Jenna Allison said yes. Kurt Busch Hall of Fame, first ballot for sure. And Kurt Busch did get his Indy 500 Hall of Fame first year. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've forgotten about that. Toyota definitely using all kinds of duct tape now. LOL, said Stephen C. Yeah, that tape gate is not going to go away anytime soon. They definitely were softening an edge there. How much performance it gave him? Denny Hamlin said it probably gave him a lot of performance, but you can never tell if he's being a smart aleck or what. I wonder if it will be a hard pass today to pass the leader. That's what I'm wondering about Coldfire. I wonder about that as well. I think it's going to be super interesting to see how that goes. I want to know how the passing is going to be, because it was definitely really hard to do it in the Xfinity series. Noah Gragson could do it, but I couldn't see a whole lot of other people doing it as easily as him. Kurt Busch will be a number one ballot Hall of Famer. I said, Randall, that is for sure. Yeah, I got you, Steven. I fixed it for you. I knew what you meant, buddy. Hendrick Motorsports is killing NASCAR. See, there's always an argument, right? Jenna Allison said that. That's what I'm saying. It just depends on the era as to who the bad guy is that's funneling money to NASCAR. It's always been like that. A lot of people said Roush was doing it when they had that dominance mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s. Oh, Roush he's just buying off, blah blah blah. It just depends on who's winning. Whoever's winning is obviously cheating and giving NASCAR money. That's just the way it works. A lot of deserving drivers need to win this year before the chase. Old home guy said, yeah, I agree. 100% agree. One lap speed, race strategy definitely could be different, though. Stephen C said, yeah, and we saw that because Noah Gragson had the fastest car yesterday, but race strategy won with the 54 of Ty Gibbs. I like Hendrick's drivers, but not Mr. H. I said Jenna Allison. A lot of people feel like that. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like that. When I was an RCR guy, I was definitely a Hendrick hater because I was just so tired of seeing Jimmy Johnson win. Won't even lie about it. Now I like Jimmy Johnson because back then I was pulling for Kevin Harvick. When Kevin Harvick finally won his championship, I don't know, it's just something, I don't know. I wasn't into it as much anymore because he went to Stewart Haas and just so much stuff changed. Now I just sort of pull for teams and I pick my drivers here and there that I like. Michigan Xfinity race was extremely boring. Yeah, other than a few incidents here and there, it was not the most exciting race to watch, which has been a complaint of Michigan. Truex got 7th place in qualifying. Appreciate it, JD Mayo. Yeah, I can't count. I knew it was somewhere in there though. My underdog for the foreseeable future will be LaJoy. I like that Kevin Clark. I think I think at a super speedway, or what we used to call plate tracks, I think he can definitely get it done. I would like to see him. I think he can really drive. I would love to see him in some competitive equipment. He's another guy that has stuck it out. He's driven terrible equipment, or equipment that is not top notch. And that's nothing against those teams. Those teams are doing the best they can do with the money they've got. But he's another one. He's showing it. I like the 22 today. This seems like his kind of track. Joey Logano is a good pick. Corey Lejo, reporter. In all the places you can race here, we're looking forward to for a spot there at the end. What were you thinking, Chastain? What do you mean where? For sure. Little Ross Chastain jabs. No problem with that though. Yeah, but I'd love to see Corey LaJoy win. Exactly. Look at all the flipping Chevrolets and Toyota, said Jenna Allison. Haters hate when you win. HMS for life, said Bumblebee. Yeah, so like that's probably the biggest rivalry now. Like it used to be Chevy versus Ford. Now it's Hendrick versus Toyota, which is just Joe Gibbs Racing, but now that they've got 2311, it's Hendrick versus Toyota. So that's definitely the big that's the big rivalry now. With a brief time where it was Jeff Gordon versus Dale Earnhardt, but the biggest rivalry now is Toyota versus Hendrick Motorsports. It's fun. Winners are cheaters. NASCAR fans rule though, because we can tease and still respect each other for sure. Jenna Allison, that's my favorite part of the sport. Like we talk a little junk, but everybody knows it's just all in good fun and everybody's playing around. Brian is a Chastain fan. Like I like Chastain. I think he's good for the sport. A lot of people don't like him because he runs into their driver and they're like, "How can you like that guy? He intentionally runs into my driver." I was like, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but he's trying his best trying to get the most out of the car every single lap. And I get why he's doing that because he drove those lower tier cars and he views it as if I don't do good in this car, I will be, either out of the sport or driving those lower tier cars again. How y'all like that Denny roast? Yeah. Let's see. Angus 420 said, "Fix the Michigan track. Let some semi tracks run on the track to thaw it out in March and April." That would be an idea for sure. I love Rowdy for life, but I don't care what he drives," said Jenna Allison. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. I didn't necessarily care that Kevin Harvick moved over to Chevrolet, but I was such a big Chevy, or moved over to Stewart Haas, but I was such a big Chevrolet fan when he moved over to Ford. It really hurt my feelings, but I got over it pretty quick. Still pull for him, but it's just not the same that he's not with RCR. But I still do pull for Kevin Harvick and hope he does good. This is a good track for him. Don't be surprised if he gets the win here as well. I like to throw that out there. I agree with whoever is spending the most money in the moment wins. Look at what Ford did a few years back, bringing in Penske and great drivers in SHR, and Harvick, and every manufacturer is spending the most. Yeah, what every manufacturer is spending the most. I agree. Like Ford just a few years ago had that 9-win season with Kevin Harvick. A few years before that, I mean, Ford was super dominant for a long period of time. Recently, and then it went back to Toyota for a little bit. Then it went back to now the last 2 seasons has sort of been Chevrolet. Kelly Combs, hi, it's me. Kelly just jumped on to say that Kyle lost it. What's going on with finding a ride? I don't know. I don't know where Kyle Busch is going with finding a ride, Kelly. No clue. But he's either probably going to end up in the 18 or somewhere over at Stewart Haas Racing. I think those are the only 2 options on the table still. I think everything else is just starting to fill up because I think these other teams have sort of given up on him, especially once the 42 went ahead and apparently they're super close to getting Noah Gragson in that car. I think it's either a done deal. He's either close to signing with Stewart Haas or close to signing with Gibbs. Anyone shopping for the parts up on the auction at RFK Tools and Cars? I looked at some of that stuff. I don't need any of it, but definitely if you need some old RFK or Roush stuff, they are having an auction, so go check them out. Toyota only has 8 cars in the field. LOL, said JD Mayo. Yeah, that's for sure. They lack the numbers. As a former Hendrick employee, I can say I had to learn the history of Rick Hendrick at Chevrolet, and he is an awesome man. He does treat his employees like family and is just a great man, said Lewis Kemp. So my dad's best friend worked for Hendrick, and he said he's a nice guy too. So I think it's one of those deals. If you met him, you'd probably like him, but it's easy to not like him and make him an evil villain because you've never met him or talked to him. So I can see it going both ways. But everything I've ever heard about him, like in real life, is that he's a pretty nice guy. Just truth be told. Chris Buescher is ready to break out, and when he does, watch out, said Mark Wachowski. I agree that 17 has been knocking on the door. 60 plus watching and 18 likes. Hit the like button, guys, said Ian Fisher. I appreciate it, Ian. Kyle Busch said he will drive my Lexus to the grocery store for me, said Jenna. That's awesome. Ross Chastain is a wheel man. Yeah, Quiet Cat said that. For sure. Ross Chastain, he's one of those drivers that's worth the price of admission because he is going to just absolutely go for the win and he's going to give it everything he's got. He's as far as racing goes, he's must-see TV. He's right up there with Kyle Busch. Whether you like Kyle Busch or hate Kyle Busch, you're going to keep an eye on him because he's going to be doing something. He's must-see TV. Chastain, dude, is a smooth operator, said Kevin Clark. I agree. Ross can drive. Ford, first on race day, said Jacob Poland. Got a Ford man in here. There's nothing wrong with that. I used to work at Ford. I don't know if you guys saw that episode, but yeah, I got nothing against Ford either. I just happen to pull for Chevrolet. That's my deal now. Like, I pull for things, but I don't hate against other brands and stuff like that. That's just where I'm at with it right now. His interview about the access road was classic, said Kevin Clark. Yeah. He said exactly what he needed to say, and by the look on his face, you could tell he was letting the audience know that it's BS, but he was saying what he had to say so he didn't get fined. All right, me too. I wish Harvick was on Chevys. Yeah, well, that was a tough pill to swallow just because he was the good wrench driver for such a long time. Let's remember the two legends we lost this week. BB said Bumblebee. Yeah, that's for sure. We lost Soapy, and we lost the Mopar man. Live on TV, it escapes me, but let's not forget them. We lost two legends for sure. So I'll take a moment to remember them here. All right. I see Angus 420 said, I hear Rowdy accepted the less money to stay with Gibbs. Yeah, I think that could be going on. I think he's definitely got something really close to being signed. Other than the three super teams, HMS, JGR, Penske, and SHR, what do you see the team most likely winning the championship this year or years to come? I like RCR and Colleague's chances. 2311, you would also have to put them in there. Trackhouse, no doubt about it. I guess you kind of got to consider Trackhouse a super team this year, right? They're right up there with them. But if you don't consider them a super team, I definitely put Trackhouse in that mix. Trackhouse probably has the best opportunity to win it this season. A lot of people sleeping on Daniel Suarez because Ross Chastain's doing so good. But Suarez, when he hasn't been involved in wrecks or had mechanical failure, has been right there with him. Coldfire, I hope Fox hires Harvick for the booth. I think Kevin Harvick will be really good in the booth, actually. He's been good every time he's done it. Truth be told, Rowdy is a nice guy too, said Jenna Allison. I've heard a lot of people say that. And just from they ran a late model race at South Boston, and all the guys that work with him on the late model car talked about how nice he was. And they said, but as soon as the camera turns on, he goes into almost like a character. So some of that is for TV. I think 50% of it's for TV, and then 50% of it when he's on TV is real, genuine emotion where he's just upset or stuff like that. So I think it's 50-50, but the people that have met him face to face and talked to him that work with him have said he's a super nice guy. But I've heard a story or two about which I think is just I'll tell this story after I tell this. It just depends on where you catch a guy. Sometimes I've heard some people say they walk up to him and he doesn't want to do autographs and stuff like that, and they get super mad about it too. So I'll tell you the story about a driver, and I'll just leave the name out because I don't really want to get into stuff like that. But I met a driver at two different places. One place, and he was a super intense guy. A lot of people didn't like him, but I met him at two places. I met him one time at the racetrack, and he was in the middle of doing his thing, and I didn't want to go up and talk to him, but my friends were fans of him, so they went up and spoke with him. And he was not necessarily in their opinion he was rude, but in my opinion he was just cutting them short because he had something to do. But they took it as him being rude. Then maybe 2 or 3 years later, I met him at it's closed down now, but it was a place called Suck Bang Blow. It was up in Charlotte. It was during the All-Star race. We were in there eating. It was wing night. There was trivia night. There was a lot going on, and he was in there, and he had brought a lot of his team in there too. Met him that night. He was sort of chill, laid back as he could be. Hung out with everybody, talked with everybody. So I think drivers are humans. It depends on where you meet them, what they're doing. Like if they've got time to chill and talk to people, they're typically not going to go out in public anyway. But if you got time to meet them, so it's just a lot of times it depends on where you meet them. And at the end of the day, they're human beings. Everybody has a bad day. If you meet a guy on a bad day, you're going to get a bad version of that person or that driver. But there are some people, and here's I'll just say this: there are some people who go above and beyond. I've seen Haley Deegan, Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain, and Joey Logano. I've seen all three of them, and some of those are polarizing drivers. I've seen all of them go above and beyond for their fans. I've seen them They'll just sit there. Like a lot of times, people just autograph and move on to the next one. Those drivers I have literally seen at the racetrack sit and have a conversation with fans while they're signing the autograph. So you're not just getting an autograph; you're having like an actual conversation with them. So I've always thought those drivers I mentioned right there, I have a lot of respect for them because they did it like that. Um, so for sure, it just depends on where you meet a guy. But Haley Deegan, Ross Chastain, Chase Briscoe, uh, and Joey Logano, I've seen all of them go above and beyond. So even though some of those are polarizing, those are definitely fan friendly drivers, in my opinion. I've met Kyle, and he is hilarious, very dry sense of humor, and the kids love him. Rowdy fan for life, said Jenna Allison. Buddy Arrington, that's the name. I thank you, Randall. I couldn't. You get on here and talking live, it's amazing what leaves your brain, and it's amazing what you can remember sometimes too. Sometimes stuff I would never remember if I wasn't talking on this thing. I remember. I used to work on Toyotas at Express Lube. I hate those plastic oil filters, man. Probably why I'm a Yoder hater. Quiet Cat said that. I'll tell you what I hate. I hate the oxygen, the O2 sensors. I've replaced so many O2 sensors at Ford. God, I don't care if I never see another one. I wish they weren't even on. Well, I guess it's good for the planet. I'm not going to say that. But I hate them. I don't like them. I wish they were in better locations. I'll put it that way. Because some of them on a hot exhaust, you got to reach your hand. Oh man, it's a disaster. I hate an O2 sensor with a passion, especially on a Ford Explorer. I hate Ford Explorers too. At least the models I had to work on in the mid 2000s. What was the cause of the fire in the 17 car? Said old home guy. I don't know, but there's a rule where if the car catches on fire, you have to stay in it because if you get out of it, you can't continue racing, and that is why he stayed in the car. Seems like they need to take a look at that rule, maybe, possibly. My buddy is an engineer on the 18, and he doesn't say anything about Kyle, bad or good, said Carmzilla. Remember old school Daryl Waltrip? He was a total instigator and jerk on TV. But he said it was just to mess with the other guys. Jenna Allison, that's one guy I actually have met, and Daryl Waltrip is one of the nicest guys you'll meet. I'm pretty sure he was just instigating stuff back then, but he's pretty. He'll talk to anybody. That guy's pretty fan friendly too. If you bump into old DW, he will talk to you. He might not stop talking to you. The video of Ross at the McDonald's drive-thru is hilarious for sure. Trackhouse is such an amazing story this year. You're right. Chastain is worth the price of admission. Hey, Baloney, I bought a tire off of Jimmy Johnson's car from his only win at Michigan at a yard sale for $5 yesterday. That's a score, Angus. I like that. That's awesome, man. How are you going to display it? Are you going to put it up on your wall or just going to sort of keep it? I always wondered how you displayed tires. Dan Patrick in his man cave had a pretty cool way of doing it. He cut it in half and made it part of McLovin's desk. If you watch that particular show, so they incorporated it into some of the equipment. I tell you what, bro, the Trackhouse is going to be a threat this decade if they continue doing what they're doing. Corey LaJoe said, I agree with you, man. Trackhouse, they came onto the scene and they just they took 1 year to learn, and now it's on. They have learned in that 1 year, and now they're ready to go. My Lexus is old, 2013 all-wheel drive GS 350. That's a good one. Toyota makes some stuff that lasts a long time. Assembled in America, a lot of them. I know the Camrys and the Tundras. I think the Tundras are made in Texas, I want to say. Camrys are in Kentucky, I think. Let's see, Carmzilla with the LOL. Thinking of putting a flower pot in it. Trackhouse. That's pretty cool, Angus. That's not a bad idea. Trackhouse is what this sport needed. I agree. A lot of the stuff Trackhouse is doing is stuff that needed to be done a long time ago. Fielding a car, and let's give Colleague credit for it first. Colleague has fielded a car all season with several different drivers in it. But Trackhouse took that concept and took it to another level. They're like, we're going to put international drivers in the project, even the name of the car, the Project 91 car. Like it has its own name, it's its own thing, and it's bringing in drivers, and that's sort of because Trackhouse, how they're set up, it's an entertainment management group, right? That's part of their deal, and this is actually sort of what I expected from Spire. So Spire has taken two ideas that people have previously had, and they've executed that idea better. That's like Henry Ford didn't invent the car. What Henry Ford did was figure out a way to manufacture a car so that everybody who wanted to buy one could have one. That's what Trackhouse has done. They haven't created these ideas, but they've taken these ideas and they've built upon them and showed you what you can do on with them. It also doesn't hurt that they have two really good drivers and they're winning. So we can't not factor that in either. So I think what Trackhouse is doing is really cool. My husband met Dale Earnhardt. My husband has a Dale Earnhardt tire from the 80s. It's a display in a glass case, signed 2, 3, forever. Dale Earnhardt was he was pretty tough on his competitors at the track, but he always made time for fans. That was one cool thing about Earnhardt for sure. Most Asian cars are built in the USA, and American car companies built in Mexico and Canada. Go figure. Lewis Kemp said, "Yeah, it's pretty crazy." Trackhouse racing, balls out, said Jenna Allison. For sure, I think that would be a good. That would be a good mantra or motto. That would be a good motto for Trackhouse because that's definitely how their drivers drive. Angus 420 said that thing's worth a pretty penny. Jenna Allison, I would say so too. Do you think teams are upset with Brad K saying there need to be more fines? Old home guy. I think your big teams might be upset with it. I think your smaller teams feel like, yeah, there need to be more fines because it seems like the smaller teams, that's another thing I guess I haven't really touched on. Seems like the smaller teams are getting smacked harder than the bigger teams, which has always been the way it is. And that was one thing I was hoping when they changed the rules that it wouldn't affect, but it's pretty much same old, same old. The smaller teams are getting hit harder than the bigger teams. And so I imagine if anybody's upset, it would be the bigger teams, but yeah. You bringing up colleagues swapping drivers kind of hints that Ty Gibbs will be full time next season. John Hunter Nemechek has been preparing to be the backup for 2311 all season. They didn't swap them in and out. Carmzilla said so. Yeah, originally it was supposed to be John Hunter Nemechek, but then the last minute they went with Ty Gibbs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Angus 420 said Dale guest voiced an episode of King of the Hill. Yeah, that's probably one of the most watched King of the Hill episodes of all time. He was also in the movie Basketball. He is the taxi cab driver in that, in a big, huge, it's not an Impala. What was that thing? A Chevrolet Caprice taxi with a 3 on the side of it. So he is in both of those movies. He's also in Stroker Ace. He's pushing Kyle Petty on a gurney. They're racing Rusty Wallace, I think, in Stroker Ace. I'm so excited to see Raikkonen in a Cup car. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ricardo in one for a race next year either. Yeah, I think that's going to be really cool, Chris, with that. I think the Project 91 thing is really cool. Anything is possible if you think TRD will outspend Justin Marks' family's money, then you might not be familiar with Justin Marks. Yeah, Justin Marks is well backed. His family has a lot of connections. Good morning, y'all. 2 hours behind. Rich L. What's up, Rich L? Baja literally drives like a showroom floor, well maintained at 100,000 K Subaru. Weird to expect $250,000 out of the car already. Kevin Clark. Yeah, the only thing about Subarus is those head gaskets. But if you can stomach the head gasket replacement, which 03, I don't know if that was is some year afterwards where the head gaskets on the Subarus blow. But I've seen Subarus get well over 300, 400,000 miles for the head gasket. Let's go. The head gasket, of course, being hard to replace because it's a boxer motor. But if you like the car, you will replace it. And Subarus are they got a lot of longevity. Angus 420 gets the big heart from Jenna Allison for the tire comments. Do you know what episode it is, Angus? The Dale Earnhardt episode. Skylar F's asking. I don't know the episode number myself. When you talk about engagement, old DW comes to mind. Growing up, I was a Cale Yarborough fan and hated Jaws. I saw him doing an autograph session, and he completely won me over. Such a nice gentleman, Terry Garvin said. I agree. Darrell Waltrip, he was a classic example of a guy that plays a bad guy on TV, but if you meet him in real life, totally different dude. It was just amazing. And I guess later on in his career, but if you remember earlier in his career when they called him Jaws and he was stirring the pot, you would never imagine how nice he was in real life. What do you think of RFK? Are they the real deal or just talk? Corey Lojo said. Corey LaJoy. Corey, I'm just going to call you Corey LaJoy. I can't do it. Let's see. I think RFK is going to take him a couple years to get there. I think you sort of seen them kind of turn around now. They're going to be a lot better than they were. How good they get, I don't know, but I think they can definitely get to where RCR is at. So I would look for them to be where RCR is at by the end of this year or the beginning of next year. I got to go to work. Let's go Byron 24, said JD Mayo. Good track for Byron if he can break the curse that he's had since, I guess, Darlington. Darlington, I'm going to say. It's all in the money for NASCAR, said Brian. That's for sure. You got to have money to do the deal. It's got to come from somewhere. Life in the Fast Lane, Bobby Saga is the episode for Skylar. That is the episode for King of the Hill if you guys are looking for it. Dale Earnhardt playing a taxi driver sounds hilarious. Angus 420. Oh yeah, if you've never seen basketball, it's got, if you like South Park, it's the guys who made South Park. So check out Basketball if you like that type of humor. If you don't like that type of humor, stay away from it. But it's definitely that type of humor, and he is in that movie. Dale did a song with Brooks and Dunn too, Honky Tonk Truth. Bumblebee said, yeah, he was a big. I think his favorite song was by Travis Tritt, but he was a big Brooks and Dunn fan. If you go into the RCR museum, they have a legend car with the Brooks and Dunn paint scheme on it that one of the Dylans drove. I had a Hendrick Big Shot gave me a photo of Dale Sr. sitting on Santa Claus, but her sign tire is nice. I still have my 3 Georgia license plate. The yearly tags are thick. That's awesome. I remember those custom plates back in the day. NBC and Fox will have us pay for our app to watch the races soon. I think you're right, Brian. I don't know if it's going to be NBC and Fox by the time it happens, but I think definitely at some point it's going to be a subscription service. But I don't think it'll be necessary to see all the races with the subscription service. It might be the first couple of years to make everybody buy it. But I think it'll be like the MLB package where you buy it to see all the games, something similar to that. When Rowdy retires and is driving Braxton Hall, Ty Gibbs is going to be my new guy. I said Jenna Allison. A lot of people are going with Ty Gibbs when Rowdy retires, but I think you got probably at least 5 more years before Rowdy retires, in my opinion. Brian's right. They will be filming everything but the race, said Carmzilla. Now, that for sure, to see all the pre-race and post-race and all that, that's for sure. They're going to make you pay to see that. How'd racing go for you this weekend? Old home guy said, well, we got rained out again. We got rained out at Hickory, and we got rained out this weekend at South Boston. But the week before that at Orange County with Jason Barnes, we won the race. And then it was a doubleheader that weekend. And the second race, the guy missed a shift, and we ran into him and ended it. But we did win that first race. So that was cool. And it was it was our first win of this season. We won the track championship in limiteds last year, but that was our first win of the season this year in late model. So big win for Jason Barnes. Pretty awesome experience. I tell you what, after the live stream, I will pop the picture up of that from us in Victory Lane 3 weeks ago. But since then, we have been rained out every weekend, so it's sort of been a bummer. You do all that work to get rained on. It's a super bummer. DW is a great Christian man, and I love every chance I've ever had to talk to him. Said Bumblebee, for sure. Daryl Waltrip is a good dude. Like I said, he just played a bad guy on TV, made it interesting. Remember when that Chevy commercial aired and Dale Sr. was asked what made Chevy good? And he said, me. I do remember that commercial. Sorry, I had to turn my phone off there. I think Dale did a Burger King commercial too. He might have. I remember Burger King was always on the car, so I can remember that one for sure. Tough Customer Wrangler commercials are pretty popular if you go and look them up on YouTube. That's one tough customer. Like, I remember those commercials. I saw DW win the pole at Atlanta in '95. Was that the last time he finished first at anything? I think he won some Bristol races in the mid '90s. But '95 would pretty much, after he got out of the Western Auto car, that was pretty much a wrap. He didn't do much after that. DW's wife was always writing a prayer to give Earnhardt before the race. That's for sure. Stevie would do all the prayers that they handed the drivers. Good point, Ian Fisher. Sunday Money, a song written by B&D, Jenna Allison. So okay, that's cool. So that was Sunday Money. Brooks and Dunn is what Jenna Allison's referring to with B&D. Sunday Money is actually the name of Dale Senior's boat, and I think that's also where Corey LaJoy got his the name for his podcast. So Sunday Money, a big NASCAR song, but not everybody knows about, I guess. Don't forget the commercial with DW talking about Dale's pink car. Yeah, so Dale Senior was trying to make a purple car, and he mixed the colors together. And when it dried, it was not pink. I mean, it was not purple; it was pink. Best mullet, Mississippi Mud Flap, Corey LaJoy, and Noah Gregson. I like Corey LaJoy's hair better. Noah Gregson, uh, his mullet's too clean. I don't like it. His mullet's too clean. I'm gonna go with Corey LaJoy there. He just lets the waterfall flow. Berger, how many NASCAR races, Cup races have you been to? Randall. Oh man, that's a good question. I'm gonna say over 25 because we used to go to every Martinsville and every Charlotte race for a good 5 or 6 year stretch until everybody sort of got married and had kids and all that good stuff. But for a good 5 or 6 year stretch, we went to all those races. So I'm gonna say it's over 25 or 26, but it could be way more than that. Mm, yeah, if we go all time, I'm probably well over 35 races, 35 Cup races altogether. But we're gonna make that number even bigger. We're gonna start the counter this year. So I've already been to Martinsville this year. So since I've had the channel, one race Martinsville. So we'll go with that. But we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it bigger than that. I got some things in the works there. Uh, we'll just spill it. No need to keep you waiting. I'm thinking about buying a van and just making it the road trip vehicle for going to races. So that is going to be the deal. I'm going to get to as many of these as I can. Obviously, with the late model season, most of the races I go to will be either at the very beginning of the season and for most of the playoff races. But that's the big deal. We are going to go. I'm going to get a van and convert it into. It won't be like a van life type thing, but it will have a spot to sleep in, so I don't always have to pay money for a hotel. I'm not going straight camping either, but I will for some stuff. But we're gonna get a road trip vehicle, and we're gonna get the show on the road, so to say. Yes, Sunday Money, said Jenna Allison, for sure. The Rainbow 3 car that he refused to wear the fire suit for, Angus 420. Yeah, that was the Peter Max car, for sure. Old home guy said you're rolling up on 7,000. Yeah, for sure. And hopefully we get there. I hope we will. Marion Miller, we try to keep it clean. Okay, said Richelle. I don't know what she said. Let's see. Angus, yes, the pink driver suit. Yeah, the Peter Max car was not his favorite car. He did not like that paint scheme. But he drove it. I think that was his last All Star paint scheme, too. The Monte Carlo 2000 ads. Do you remember Tony Stewart with the drive through Burger King and Corey for the hair for sure? I don't remember that particular Tony Stewart commercial. The Tony Stewart commercial that immediately pops to my mind is the one he did for, I guess, Mobile One Oil, where he does the soda cookies, where he takes the Oreo cookie and dips it into soda and then eats it and says, delicious. And while he's doing a split or something like that. That's the first Tony Stewart commercial that comes to my mind. And probably my other favorite underrated commercial was I don't remember if you the old, not the new Sponsor Fire commercials, but the old Sponsor Fire commercials. This was an offshoot, but Joey Logano had the tater tots, and he took the tater tots and he made the tater tots rain with the little kid. That was a too. He was making it rain with tater tots. That was the Napoleon Dynamite era. So tater tots were funny back then. Let's see. Angus 420 was the Peter Max car at 2000 All Star race that Junior won. Good catch, Lewis Kemp. I forgot Junior won that All Star race. I just remember the Peter Max car. I stopped going in 2008. I would go to 10 to 15 races a year. Sometimes I wish I had my money back. But fun. don't worry about the money. You can't take it with you when you go, but those memories, they'll be with you forever. Don't worry about that, Miss Vicky. Yeah, we used to go to Richmond too. I'm trying to remember all the races I've been to. So here's I've got some footage from a race. I used to go to races and get like overserved quite a bit. So I've been to a lot of these races. And I'll show some footage of that. So be prepared for that when that vlog comes out. But I've been to a lot of races, but it's hard to quantitate how many I've been to. I would say 35 to 50, somewhere in there would be a fair estimate. I stopped going once myself once they got super political. Said Marion Miller. Yeah, I mean they've taken their stance on that stuff, and it has turned off a lot of people for sure. It's just it's my thing. It's my thing that I do. I don't really like politics, but I like racing, so I just try to put that stuff to the side and watch the racing on the track, and I don't worry about the other nonsense. I don't care about it. The Ken Schrader cardboard cutout, Little Debbie commercial. Yeah, that was a good one. I forgot about Schrader. Schrader had some decent commercials. The shirtless Denny, medieval Logaba. Yeah. The Denny Hamlin ones were funny, man. He does pretty good acting for a commercial. Mark Barnum, what's up, buddy? How long do you think Booty will stay with the 23 car with the verbal abuse? I don't know. I don't. Old home guy with that one. I don't know. There are a lot of drivers that are hard to work with. So Bubba Wallace is not the only driver that's ever been hard to work with, but for sure, that's not ideal. But Bubba is young enough that they can work with him on that. And that being said, everybody's set up differently. Booty Barker, it might not bother him like it bothers some people. So it's really hard to say. But I know Steve Addington got rid of Kurt Busch because of it, and he got rid of Kyle Busch because of it as well. Like so, that's one crew chief that was really good in his prime, and he got rid of both of those drivers because of the radio stuff. I do remember that back in the day, or at least that's what everybody said. It was because of the radio stuff. Corey LaJoy said this year's playoffs is going to be the best one so far. I can't believe it took almost 10 years to finally have a great playoff. Everyone is going to be super close together in points. I agree with you. They finally got what they wanted. Ken Schrader commercial. I miss him and Kenny Wallace. Kenny Wallace is a character. If you follow him on any of his social media, he's always got something going on. It's Denny time was why was the commercial thing. Oh yeah, I remember that. It's Denny time. That's still a thing. People post out. That's probably his most memorable. I guess he won the Sponsor Fire commercial deal, but my favorite Sponsor Fire commercial, like I said, was always the Tater Tots with Joey Logano because that was pretty funny. Gillette commercials. Oh, the Young Guns commercials. Angus 420. That's awesome. Yeah, Gillette Young Guns commercials where they kept yelling Newman. That was awesome too. All of those Gillette Young Gun commercials were awesome. Keep politics out of NASCAR. Yeah, I keep politics out of NASCAR, and I keep them out of my show too. For sure, Jenna. Good way to be. Ken Hatchett said Bubba is overrated. I don't know if he's overrated, but he's definitely got a lot of fans, and for obvious reasons, he's got a lot of fans. He's doing something. He looks different than anybody that most people in this lifetime have seen drive. So he's good for the sport from that aspect, but his personality is not for everybody. So he's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way too. And that's really all I want to say on that one because you get into all these fractured arguments about Bubba Wallace, and it's just going to get ugly. So he definitely is a polarizing driver, but he has his fans and he has his detractors. Please keep the Bubba comments tame. Yeah, yep. See, I don't want to get into the politics of it. Speaking of something surprising, is the force the terrible qualifying at Michigan. Yes, the track where Fords dominate. They were terrible in qualifying. I don't know how that happened. They might be working on race trim, and we also don't know how trimmed out the Toyotas, Skylar F, but Austin Dillon isn't overrated, ? Austin Dillon he's an average driver. I don't know. I don't see where him, Eric Almirola, and necessarily Bubba Wallace or Ricky Stenhouse, all those guys can win races. And all those guys can do super aggressive moves. Not necessarily Eric Almirola, but all those other guys I mentioned can do super aggressive moves. I look at Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Bubba Wallace is sort of the same driver. They can win you races here and there. They can sneak up and get top tens. Austin Dillon has learned how to be super consistent, ironically, but they can also do these crazy aggressive moves where they're going to wreck. So I actually see all three of those drivers as kind of the same type of driver. As crazy as it sounds, they all come from different backgrounds and stuff like that, but they're all pretty much the same type of driver. Yeah, that's why stick and ball sports are not great anymore, said Jenna Allison. Yeah, for sure. Nobody tunes into sports to be preached at. So I won't do it here either. Austin Dillon, life in the middle of the pack, spoon fed and pampered, said Skylar F. There's definitely a ton of people who agree with you on that. I like the Taz commercial with Dale. Yeah, I remember those commercials. The Looney Tunes and Monte Carlo thing was all woven into one thing. Austin Dillon is killing RCR, says Brian. I think he's a solid driver, but they could definitely get better drivers in there if they can lure them and keep them. That's the deal. Like, you can get a guy to replace Austin Dillon, but is he going to stay there? Hard to say. But it is what it is. Jenna Allison says, "Go Bubba, love Michael Jordan, true class act, maybe a half dozen." And I grew up a huge Michael Jordan fan too. So I'm definitely pulling for 2311. And Bubba, I like what he represents, and I want him to do good. No matter how you feel about his personality, he's opening the doors for other people. Bubba Wallace is overhated. I think he's actually a decent driver. I think the hate he gets is freaking ridiculous. Like, it's his opinion. You may disagree with it, but I think fans just go too far. Here's the thing, and I'm after this, I'm just going to get off the Bubba Wallace stuff. I'm just going to skip over him because I don't want this to turn into the Bubba Wallace thread. Bubba Wallace is in this way like Donald Trump. He lives in people's heads rent free more than any driver I think I've ever seen in my entire life. People are worried about a driver that's 20 something place in points, and they talk about him all the time, and they're just constantly hating on him. And I just don't get it. Like, I don't know how you can let anybody get in your head like that rent free for so long. So it is what it is. I don't necessarily understand how you can let somebody control your life like that. Like, if you don't like him, just don't pull for him and just pull for your driver. I've never gotten getting infatuated with hating on somebody, but there's definitely a faction of fans that super do not like him. So he's very polarizing. He's probably the most polarizing out there, in my opinion. Yeah, I that's pretty much all I got to say about it. Who gets a first win? That Jones boy or Stenhouse? If it happens today, I'm gonna lean towards Eric Jones. But Ricky Stenhouse, he shows up in big ways sometimes too. But I'm leaning toward Eric Jones there. Obviously biased because I'm a Richard Petty guy and I've got the Eric Jones hat on. But Ricky Stenhouse is no slouch either. Just got to keep the nose clean for all of the laps with Stenhouse. That's the only problem. I agree. Austin Dillon, RCR, needs a driver that can lead the team in the right direction. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, Austin Dillon's decent, but if you replace him, you got to replace him with a guy that's going to stay there that you can build around. It seems like all these guys coming to RCR are using it as a stepping stone, or they don't produce results, one or the other. So you got to get a guy that's going to stay with him. You know, fans go too far because they cram a mid-pack driver down everyone's throat. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough too, but they're doing it for the same reason they do other things. Did you see Denny's song on Dirty Mo when Denny was on last week? I didn't see the Denny song, but I have seen the Joey Logano song. So Jones with the first win. No Ricky Stenhouse. Yeah, I'm thinking Jones will get the win first, but you never know. Berger, thank you for just NASCAR and no politics. Randall the God, yeah, no problem. Like that was one of the big things when I started this channel. I made sure I was going to stay as far away from politics unless it absolutely crosses over and you have to mention something about it. But then I would just mention something about it and move on because you get enough politics everywhere else. If you want politics, you can go to one of your political YouTubers. There's plenty of them out there, or you can go to Fox or CNN and get whichever perspective you appreciate. Eric drove for Rowdy as well and won a championship, said Jenna Allison. Yeah, Eric was actually the guy that Kyle Busch wanted to cultivate, and he wanted to be his protege. And when Gibbs got rid of him, I was really surprised about that, but understood the situation. You got all this support behind Christopher Bell. They had to do what they had to do in that situation. But I think Rowdy definitely wanted Eric. He saw a lot of potential in Eric Jones and wanted to bring him along. Some drivers aren't good at leading and helping keep the team fast. When Gordon left Hendricks, the whole team slumped until Elliott came in. Roush with Kenseth was the same way. Yeah, there's definitely Dakota Henderson with a good point there. These are what you call setup guys. They're guys that know how to set up a car. Kevin Harvick is another good example of that. Kyle Busch is a good example of that. They're guys who can set up a car because they can give you such good feedback that you can get what's called a baseline setup that you tweak on for whatever track you're at. So those are definitely the guys that do that. Ian Fisher said, "Are you going to do a live stream taste test for 7K? Have never heard of them here in Colorado." That is actually a good idea. For the 7K live stream, I will obviously can't prepare one in this room because I don't have a grill. Also, I don't want this room smelling like bologna for like months. So, but I will pre-prepare one, and I will show you what it looks like. Or maybe I can. Well, I don't know if I can do that on the live stream. I will pre-prepare one, show you what it looks like, and I will take a bite of it on the channel for 7K. That's for sure. Hey guys, what's up? We're looking at Toyota dominance today at Michigan, BB. Gerard at Walraven says for sure they look good. My only concern is what are they going to do? Are they too trimmed out? What are they going to do in traffic? But if they do good in traffic, they are going to wear them out, in my opinion. But in case you missed the show earlier, I've seen Ford win here so many times. It's hard not to pick a Ford driver. So my picks for the race are going to be either Joey Logano or Ryan Blaney, or Kevin Harvick, or Kyle Busch, or Martin Truex Jr. from the Toyota camp. I just don't know which manufacturer is going to have the edge today. And of course, if you're a Chevrolet fan, I'm picking Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott in the outside chance that Chevrolet has speed at this track, which they rarely do. Hopefully, Austin Hill will be a good driver, the next good RCR driver, said Lewis Kemp. I hope so too, and I hope he stays. He's super underrated. I wasn't big on him just because I didn't know who he was. But I didn't realize how good he was until after some of the teams he left. They went downhill after he left. They were never as competitive. So that's always a good sign that your driver was carrying the team, so to say. Kurt Busch being out another week at Michigan means he is going to be in a must-win, another race to make the playoffs. If they get 16 winners, he's out minus 30 right now on points. So I am worried. That's a good point. He definitely has to get his wins up when he comes back if they get 16 winners. But it's definitely a situation you got to look at and follow. It's sad that Kurt's out another week. I really wanted to see him win Michigan since he's won there before. For sure, he's definitely strong here, as we saw in the statistics earlier. Just a tough situation, but I don't want him to come back too soon either. Health over racing every day of the week. What time does the race start today? The race starts at 3:00. And I'm going to wrap this up here in about 10 or 15 minutes. So I've got a few things I got to do before I start watching the race here. I still think Kurt has one more championship in him. He could, especially with this playoff format. You never know. That's 3:00 Eastern Standard Time, by the way. Angus 420, thanks for that. Kurt should sit out another week, even if he is cleared for next week. That's fair. I mean, he should do, whatever's right by his health, for sure. My favorite thing about NASCAR to this day is their respect and honor for God, country, family, and military and vets. I love the pre-race ceremony. Yeah, NASCAR fans are very patriotic, and obviously I like the national anthem. I like the United States, but I don't hate on any other country or anything like that either. So definitely I like the national anthem. I like the prayer before the race. That's right up my alley. So I'm glad they do that because it is it's actually part of a tradition, so it's pretty cool. They've always done it. They even do it at the local short tracks too. Same deal. How does Kurt Busch? I like the flyover too. Don't forget the flyover. That's probably my favorite part of that patriotic deal. How does Kurt Busch's concussion troubles have to do with his age as opposed to a next gen driver? Everyone is harping on. I mean, that's a good question. Uh, it's easier just from watching fighting. UFC stuff. It's easier to get concussed when you're older, so that's part of it too. But also, they're probably trying to get a good look at Ty. That's why they went with Ty instead of John Hunter. It shows you one thing. It shows you Ty is higher up on the Toyota line than John Hunter, which we obviously already knew because he's Joe Gibbs' grandson. But the fact that John Hunter Nemechek was their first person they were going to put in that car, and then all of a sudden Ty Gibbs is in it, that tells you that Toyota made a push. They want to get a look at Ty Gibbs. And Ty Gibbs made some interesting comments after winning this race when he was asked about winning the Xfinity race. He was asked about the Cup Series race, and he said the Cup Series cars are so much harder to drive. He's like, if you think these cars are hard to drive, wait till you get to the Cup Series. So I thought that was an interesting comment that he made. On the same line was Joey's average 5-lap time, much better than everyone's. I didn't catch practice. I didn't look at the average lap times just because it's so hard to tell. But I would expect that Penske had good average lap times. What I'm really interested in seeing is what the Toyotas do in traffic, because they might possibly be too trimmed out just with the so much more speed than everybody else had. But if being trimmed out doesn't hurt them, they're going to be tough to beat this year. Kyle Busch, 2022 championship, 3-time, Jenna Allison said. So all the Kyle Busch fans sound off. I've got some crab legs to cook for the race and some pasta salad too. I like pasta salad. Angus 420 said. Ty Gibbs is getting a lot of different tracks to be testing his skills on. A road course or whatever. Pocono is now Michigan. It's interesting how many different tracks they're letting him drive on. I agree, Moulton. He's definitely getting a good, solid look. Thank you, Mr. Berger, for the live stream, saving me from a thirsty e-girl. Bones said, no problem, Bones. Yep, that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, me neither. Never a hater to any country. Just a tough world out there these days. I agree, Jenna. Just the fact that I got to say stuff like that, it's wild times we live in. Byron and Bowman are off the pace lately. Yeah, I don't know if they're R&D in something or what, but those two are definitely not as good as the 9 and the 5 for sure. Seems to be you want to have a single digit if you're a Hendrick car this year. The extra number is slowing them down clearly. Boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing boys. Said Rich L. Ty ran a clean race, and he's only in his 20s, and all in the top 20s. I'm sorry. Said Carmzilla for sure. Peace out, everyone. Talk to you later. See you at 300. That's what's up. Good to see you, Lewis Kemp. Thanks for stopping by. Skylar F. And Danica. Yeah, for sure. Kevin James should always announce start your engines. Yeah, him and Adam Sandler. That was a pretty good one. John Hunter didn't do very good yesterday in Xfinity. You can see why they went with Ty. Yeah, and I just think Ty has more basically backing behind him for a Cup run, not necessarily for Xfinity and stuff like that. I don't think John Hunter Nemechek has any money behind him. I think that's a big issue with him. So let's see. I've changed my opinion on Ty. I really thought he was going to take the Cup ride like he was entitled, and honestly, I think it humbled him a little bit. Yeah, he's done so much better since the Martinsville incident, and we should give a shout out to that. He's a young kid. He learned that what he did there was not the best thing in the world to do, and he's probably worked on it since then. And there's going to be some people that never like him because of that. They'll always remember that one incident, and it will be burned into their brain. But I think if you remember, he's 19 and he made a mistake. Give him a chance. He's definitely obviously worked on it and seems to have improved on it from there. The 26 is not in the best equipment, to be fair. Yeah, that's also fair. Good luck to all of you NASCAR peeps, and thank you, said Jenna Allison. Before you go, who's your pick to win today? Sorry if you already said the pick. Don't worry about it, Gerard. Yeah, I'm picking I'm picking Ryan Blaney to win. Kevin Harvick outside chance, but I mean, if you really had to pin me down on one person who's going to win this race, I'm going with Ryan Blaney. But also, I could 100% see Kyle Busch winning this race. It just depends on manufacturer. Which manufacturer is going to come out on top. This has typically been a Ford track, and until Ford gets beat here, I'm going to go with a Ford driver. So I'm going with Ryan Blaney. But if you're just going off the speed charts, you got to go with a Toyota, and there's no Toyota better here than Kyle Busch. So that would be my two picks there. And if you're just going strictly by the numbers, this is a Kevin Harvick track, no doubt about it. Kaz Grala needs to get a full-time ride, said Moulton. I agree. He's super talented, and I can't understand why him and Parker Kligerman both, why they can't get some type of funding. So rain today. Weather is not looking promising, said Eric Sipes. I agree. It's probably going to be a rain out. P.S. Kyle, your name is as killer as your beard. Thank you, Jenna Allison. I appreciate it. A lot of people like the beard, so I really appreciate it. A lot of people also hate it, so I appreciate the people that appreciate it. Ford wanted to change the Ford wanted that front end change, says Brian. Well, I mean possibly, but I don't know. They need to beat on the hauler door and change it back if that's the case. I wanted to see BK in the winner's circle today. Man, I want to see Brad Keselowski get into the playoffs or somebody down far in points like I always say Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski, because I think that would really shake up the points. So anybody that is not currently in the points, I'd like to see them win just to shake it up. I agree. Humbled for sure. Jenna referring to Angus 420. Let's hope that we don't see a lot of big wrecks today at Michigan. Yeah, Rick Lane, I agree, because I don't think this car handles them really well. I think they need to take a look at it in the off season and see if they can get some crumple zones or something to sort of take this impact away from going directly to the drivers. Did the money team dissolve? No, they didn't dissolve. They're just, I think they said they're not running another race until they can get funding or something like that. But that was Kaz Grala's ride before that. Let's see. Did you ever watch Vice Grip Garage? I did not watch that. I didn't like Austin Hill when he ran trucks with Toyota with Rich Childress on his side again. Yeah, he was not necessarily loved in the truck series, but he has gained some fans with RCR. Jen Allison said Rowdy's going to win. Dodge was pretty good here too. Said Angus 420. Yeah, Dodge was good here. Maybe they will come back soon. I think they'll be back in 2024. That's my personal opinion. Hope the race is better today than Xfinity yesterday. I do too. I hope there's better passing for these cars. I like your thoughts on the picks. Rooting for Harvick, but I don't know if they'll have the raw speed. I hope so, though, said Gerard. Yeah, if it plays out like it played out yesterday, you might not need the raw speed. You might just need the strategy and the track position. Chastain goes to victory lane today. Brian, that's also a good, solid pick. He hasn't had necessarily the best speed, though, so it'll be interesting to see. Suarez is definitely up there, though. Well, let's see. Hold on. Nah, none of the Trackhouse cars are up there. That's interesting. I didn't even pay attention to that. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what Trackhouse does. Were they just practicing for the race? But they don't look like they have raw speed. Looks like all the Chevrolets are struggling here. So this is definitely going to be a Ford or Toyota track. It always rains during race weekends in Michigan. We were in a 6-week drought until 2 days ago. That's the story, ain't it? Every time I go to the racetrack, it's rain. Just in case y'all missed that earlier, like I said, 2 of the last 3, actually 3 of the last 4 times I've been to the racetrack, it's rained. So we got rained out. But the one time we did get to race, we did win one of the twin races that weekend. I loaned my JGR. I loaned JGR my glue gun. No tape, boys. So it's gonna be glue this week, not tape. Clearly will be much more legal. Jenna Allison with that one. Moulton, only reason guys like Grala and Kligerman don't get full-time ride is because they don't bring that much sponsorship money. And without sponsorship, your days in motorsports are numbered, to be honest. Now, I agree with you, Moulton. Hopefully something will change in the future. Hopefully this new car will change that. Is the race starting earlier due to rain? It might be. And that is a good point. And we have reached the end of it, basically. So I'm going to do these last ones real quick, and I'm going to get out. Or shear points, because the old cars should at least break apart and lose energy. Yeah, that's a good point. on fixing the cars. I'm really rooting for that Jones boy. Me too. Randall said, peace out. Peace out, Randall. I'll see you guys later. Green flag will now wave at 3:01. Previously scheduled for 3:17. So we are 2 hours, about 2 hours away from it. All right. Trackhouse doesn't have a problem finding the front when it's in the back. That's true, said old home guy. And thanks for doing this, BB. No problem, Gerard. I will try to do this for every race, unless I'm out of town. If I'm out of town, I'll let you guys know ahead of time. But I will try to do this before every race. But that's all I got for this one. Enjoy your race. Hope you guys win. And like I said, I think the winner is going to be either Ryan Blaney or Joey Logano. But if it's Toyota, I'm picking Kyle Busch or Martin Truex. And my Chevy drivers are going to be Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. That is all I got for you. Thanks for your time. Peace.